Good afternoon and welcome to NYCryptoTalk. Today's ICO review is going to be on Databroker DAO. What is Databroker DAO? Well, it is a decentralized global market for local data. Basically a decentralized IoT marketplace. If you guys have seen my previous video on INT chain, I am very optimistic and very bullish on the IoT market in general. I have referenced this one Forbes article, which is basically a roundup of Internet of Things from all around, from different agencies, from Reuters, Forbes, multiple IT agencies. And the logistics and all the growth rates of where they see IoT being in the next couple of years is huge growth, from 20 to 40% growth year over year. So we're looking at a huge growth in this IoT marketplace. Smart homes, smart cars, smart cities, all these things. Everything that people want to be able to track via the IoT sphere is going to increase. Over time, we are definitely going to be seeing a huge bump when it comes down to the utilization of IoT devices in our home, at work, through the government, just schools, universities, all around the world. We're going to be seeing IoT devices used. So what Databroker DAO is trying to do is help out with the IoT market right now. They're not competitors directly for things like INT Chain, which is building an IoT blockchain. What Databroker DAO is basically trying to do is utilize the IoT devices that are currently out right now and provide some type of income stream for the different owners along the path of the IoT device, from the actual person who has the IoT sensor to the actual distributor of the IoT information, so like the network, and then wherever it goes. So basically there's multiple streams where money can be made and people can pay back the cost of these IoT devices, and then that IoT data can then be utilized in different industries. So basically, as it says here, this will open up a wealth of opportunities in various industries. Data will be able to be used and become more effective, because right now everything is siloed. IoT data is utilized by a company and it is dumped, stored, that's it. What they want to be able to do is open up that data stream for other people who might be interested in it. And also so they can gain back some of that money. So there is a pre-sale that is currently ongoing right now for the ICO. The actual main ICO, the public sale, is going to be starting next month, April 26th. I'm very interested in this. I'm going to be doing a lot more research. I've already spent a couple hours reading into this. I think their white paper is fantastic. I'm not going to go too deep into it because they do have a one-pager on this, and I'm going to kind of hit the highlights. So what the challenge is right now with the market. Basically right now, as I mentioned, all these sensor owners from different devices, different industries, they go through a gateway operator. So this is like the mobile network or the place where it is being done, translated through, and then it goes into a data silo, a server. Some of the information, wherever they're getting the information, they pull it if they need it, and it's locked up. So this data is basically, so the primary market for these sensors is expected to reach $1.2 trillion in 2019, next year. And 10% of the data generated is sought for others. The value of that is locked away and will reach 120 billion next year. So all that is lost income. So basically what they want to be able to do is utilize some of these costs and this marketplace to be able to let these sensor owners get some of recoup costs, as well as open up the data stream for others. And basically what they say right now is currently the gateway operators are already set up to deal with allowing the data to be their clients to generate the data, and routing the purchase data streams to a location on the internet. So that's straightforward. So basically they're saying this gateway operator can point to one place, it can point to another. So that part is actually easy. This is a real world solution that actually has a simplified method of how they're going to implement it. Obviously, adoption is the biggest, movement for this, but as far as the implementation and the functionality behind it, it is very straightforward. I have not met many projects other than Sophia TX where I think it is straightforward, where there's a simplified method of what their accomplishments need to be done. So what they want to do is have this gateway operator reach out to the marketplace where the data will be stored, and then there'll be a buyer, and that buyer can then go to the marketplace and buy the different sensor information available directly from the marketplace. And all these different places, both the sensor owner will be getting about 80% of the proceeds. The gateway operator will have an incentive to utilize this because then they will also get 10%, and then the marketplace will get a 10% fee as well. So obviously this is the Databroker DAO, so that's how they earn their money. But the gateway operator has an incentive, the sensor owner has an incentive, because gateway operators get paid right now, but now they'll have an incentive to actually store it and send it to somewhere else. So it's almost a bonus for them. And then this will all be done through the Ethereum network. All these things will be locked up through smart contracts on the marketplace. So there is a beta platform right now, so I will quickly jump into that. If you go to their website, you can actually unlock a wallet, and you'll be brought to their dashboard where they'll basically show you all the different sensor data that's currently on there that can be purchased. Obviously, this is just test data, but you can actually go into a CO2 sensor where they show some IoT data, and you can see, if you're a buyer and you want to see some test data, some on-demand data, you can actually see it to make sure that when you're buying something, it has the information you want. So that's individual streams, individual information. And then there is data set. So if you are looking to get a bulk amount of data from different streams, basically all bundled up, this is where a data set would be. And then all this information would then be tracked through the Ethereum network. As I mentioned, it will be updated. All this information is raw. It's on demand. It'll tell you here right now where what height we're at in the Ethereum network, and all this information will actually show you all the IoT data directly here, where you can actually add a new data set, the unique identifier, and it'll actually allow you to work with that IoT sensor information. It's very cool. Very cool. So here, where's the benefits? Here, they delete the text. That's very cool. You can gain, you can monetize, you can recoup, all these different ways of, so they say recoup. So it's true, recouping your costs as a sensor owner. The cost of the IoT sensors, I think they figured out to be about $12 per sensor in the white pages. That's how they figure out how much their tokens they're going to have throughout the year. They actually did some really crazy math to figure out how many tokens they'll have. So sensor owners can recoup costs. Network operators can gain scale and speed in the adoption of the network, and getting some more money through that. Sensor manufacturers. So right now, everything is pretty much low. Everything is thinned out when it comes to as low as they can get right now. But they can capitalize because they're profiting off all these new people who are going to be utilizing the platform. Obviously, people are sharing data, but that shouldn't stop sensor manufacturers from gaining money. Smart city initiatives, obviously, it can limit the upfront cost of populating the town with sufficient sensors and turn the expense into an investment within a 2 to 3 year payback. So if a smart city bought IoT sensors, within 2 to 3 years, they can sell that data back and get all that information back. Agricultural sector, farmers nowadays are using IoT sensors for everything from barometric pressure, humidity, wind, temperature. I personally use about half of these things to monitor all my indoor growing for my vegetables and my outdoor growing as well. So I truly believe the agricultural sector is a huge plus when it comes to IoT sensors. And academics. Universities will definitely like to buy data. It'll be cheaper, and they can use this for research studies and so forth. They have a huge alliance of different product companies that are IoT vendors, IoT providers, and they're building them day by day. In the white paper, there was only 7 people in this alliance. As you can see, that list has grown immensely. So they are definitely building their list. Pre-sale, as I mentioned, token sale. So trading opens on the 30th. Tokens will not be tradable until 1 week after the sale ends. At this point, they'll hopefully have, they'll be available. They've been already listed on Chankura, but I'm sure 1 or 2 more exchanges, they said they'll list by that time. The mainnet will be released in Q2, which is fantastic. And then basically from there, they're going on, implementing further enhancements, setup and onboarding of an extended team, gateway operator integrations, improving the front-end interface, private data sales and whitelisted buyers, Q1 data enhancement integration. So as you can see, it's just enhancements. These are different events they're at, more press information. Moving to their team, they do have a very well-versed team. I did check out most of their LinkedIn pages. But really sticks out to me is the 2 people here, Jonathan Johnson, who's an advisor. And if we open up his page, he is the former president and current board member for Overstock. And now he's the president of Medici Ventures. So he's a capital venture person. And then we have Patrick Byrne, who is the current CEO of Overstock.com. So you have 2 people from Overstock.com, which is a ginormous company. Supply chain management, I am sure, is going to be one of their main people that they're going to hit on with IoT, because that is one of the main things that IoT really can do a huge impact on in the future. So obviously they're hiring right now, but if we go to their, so this is their one-pager. This kind of breaks down main details about the project, and then I'll quickly go into the white pages that has some more snippets. I did a little bit of bookmarking, so we're looking at, these are the different networks. So as I mentioned before, there are operators. So obviously that term is not really something that I'm too familiar with, but it is basically telecommunication providers operating the sensor via GSM, LoRa, or Sigfox, or via proprietary gateways. So those are the gateway operators. The benefits, obviously, as I mentioned, monetizing your data, recouping costs, gaining access to thousands of sensors, and turning expenses into investments. So you can actually make an investment by buying some of this data, or just getting IoT devices and using it for something that you think someone would buy the data for. So if you have a great project where you think IoT data, monitoring heat, the heat is something, the temperature is something, might be worth something, you can actually make an investment out of it. As I mentioned, sensor owners, network operators, sensor manufacturers, smart city, and then the different sectors that would buy into it. So their actual token supply is 225 million, which is very, very sweet spot when it comes to token supply. I will talk about how they got to that number eventually. And basically how they broke down the DTX token and why they chose ERC20 is they like having the 18 decimals, basically due to the fact that to work with micropayments, so being able to get down to the very, very small amount. Once the market grows, the micropayments will actually become beneficial as opposed to having a single decimal or no decimals, a solid one. So basically, we determined the maximum number of tokens issued to be 225 million, the amount of sensors on the platform in 2024. So they did some research into the 225 million sensors that they're planned to be on the market by 2024. So that is their estimate, and that's how they got to that number. So if I go to the white paper and I just quickly jump through the bookmarks, as I mentioned, global market for IoT sensors has surpassed 600 billion US dollars per year, including the purchase, installation, and maintenance of these sensors. So going into, and that goes into my Forbes article. So this is from the CEO of Overstock and one of the advisors. So this is a great snippet for the platform. He basically said the intersection of IoT and blockchain is enormously promising. For sensor-owning organizations, the ability to use an immutable ledger to store data, ensure its integrity, and provide a clear path to data monetization is a stellar example of the promise of blockchain. The value of the IoT sensor market is greater than $600 billion per year and is expected to double in the next 3 years, simply for primary usage of the data by the sensor owner. The magnitude and potential of value of the marketplace for data-hungry third party is staggering. I believe what online retailers like Overstock.com have done for making physical goods accessible online, Databroker DAO will do for sensor data. So huge piece of information there. So here's their estimate. So by 2016, there were no fewer than 9 billion sensors deployed globally. So that's the global statistics. And it will go up to 33 billion by 2019. So the 225 million that they expect on the platform is just a small amount. It could be way more than that. And this just breaks down why they'll each different group of owners will actually make money, why it benefits them. You know, being able to recoup cost, data buyers can be straightforward. For instance, purchasing temperature and rainfall data provisioned by a neighboring office building to have accurate local readings for a more complex, like purchasing data to train one's AI. Gateway operators, so this is the place where the data goes through. So the key role of the gateway operators is to expose the gateway and that they operate to enable sensor owners to sell their data. So who will sell the data? So these are the different industries. So as you can see here, you have a huge manufacturing and natural resources where a good portion of the area of the market is going to be. There is consumers, like I said, you know, home automation, health and fitness, automotive, home security. That's what most people see on a day-to-day. But there is, of course, a huge business market with utilities, transportation, retail, IT, banking, communications, education, government, health providers, insurance. So you're going to see that there's a lot of places. They go through a couple of examples. National Weather Service using temperature data, public transportation, fertilizer companies using information for pH levels, for growing, self-driving technology, smart city, academics, energy, governments, environmental agencies. So there is a lot of people out there who want this information. The stakeholders of the IoTs have a lot. The IoT space have a lot to gain, as we've mentioned before. The biggest obstacle, of course, is on the supply side of the equation. That is the adoption of the marketplace to buy data sensors owners who are generating data. Basically, they're going to be looking into hiring an experienced team of enterprise sales profiles. Their focus will be to guide the gateway operators through the sales cycle, onboard them into the Databroker DAO. So they're going to go through the gateway people to try to be able to integrate with their platform and then use those gateway operators to then get the IoT owners to look into the platform. Why using Ethereum? Because of the cost. Obviously, using traditional fiat payments, there's 1 to 3% in money costs for a marketplace. Using Ethereum, it is fractions of a penny. So how is Databroker DAO different than IOTA, Streamer, Oceanpool? Is basically they're working on simply interfacing what it is existing already. They're not building a brand new blockchain. They're not building, the whole new way IoT devices should work. They're working on integrating these operators to where they already have the functionality to send the data and basically use that stream in order to share it with others, so that all of this is integrated and it can be complemented and coexist with other IoT companies out there. I like the simple fact that they have integration with something that's already there, similar to how I have talked about stuff via TX, integrating with existing functionality. They're not building a brand new blockchain. People don't need to jump on a new blockchain for this functionality. So it is a definite plus in my book. And the word DAO, of course, that scares people. It's not a marketing ploy, they say, but they do believe that eventually they do want to get to a non-traditional governance model. So more information on money spent on sensor purchases, where the growth is going to be, and this is in billions. We're going into the trillions area, and the amount of sensors transmitting data as of now in billions. So we're growing in sensor data. So the initial value of the token, as I mentioned, so they determined that the maximum amount of tokens issued to be 225 million, the amount of sensors on the platform in 2024. Of course, it can be more. It's just what their expectations were, which is a sensible information. It's not crazy. It's not high. It is definitely plausible. So what do I think of Databroker DAO? I think it is a very, very well-accomplished project. It has very high reviews from most of the ICO tracking sites that I've seen. The team is fantastic. The advisor board is awesome, like A+ team. And they just have a good approach to what they're doing. I think their model is definitely something that just needs to be translated to people, and it needs to just be adopted. Once the adoption rate is up, I definitely think that the project is definitely going to boom, and I definitely see a huge potential in 2018 and 2019 for this market. And forward, of course, because the IoT market is huge. And 2024, I could see Databroker DAO still being pushing out, huge growth potential at that time. So let me know what you guys think on Databroker DAO. Have you done your research? Obviously, it takes hours and hours to do this research, to go through the pages, to see the reviews, to see the competitors. So let me know what you guys think. Please like, subscribe, shoot me a comment. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this. Hope you guys have a great day. All right, guys, take it easy.